Let's do Shakespeare in the Park!
Shakespeare in the Park.
Verily, today...
Dost thou know that...
Anyhow, verily we talk about Shadows over Camelot. Now this is a game, some of you are like, oh, what new game is this? Well, it's
not new.
It's from Days of Wonder, and this is not the first cooperative game, but I will say this is the first cooperative game that made a huge splash.
Right.
Before this, there was Lord of the Rings, a cooperative game, and then this one came out, and they said, oh, and by the way, somebody might be a traitor. And I was like, what? What? That was such a novelly cool idea.
Very much.
And now it's been taken to extreme. There's many people who like Battlestar Galactica better than this.
They stole it.
Well, we're going to talk about this game specifically. Here we go. So here we have the vast expanse that is Shadows over Camelot. You have your round table here, which is in the castle, which is being besieged by catapults here. Out here we have the tournament where you can fight the Black Knight. Over here, you are being attacked by the Picts and the Saxons on two different areas. Over here is the Excalibur area. Up here is where you must go and rescue Lancelot or fight dragons. And up here is the quest for the Holy Grail. There's a lot of things going on. And each player, at the beginning of the game, is going to choose from one of several knights that are included in the game. These knights are in various colors, and they come with a piece with their color, although for the purposes of my demonstration, I'll be using the painted miniatures that Days of Wonder has, which are really cool. Everything is really not painted in the game. My catapults were painted by somebody, so that's why. But there's catapults, there's swords, and each player is going to take one of these, as I said, and their character is going to start at the round table. And then characters are also going to take one of these green cards. Now, most of the time, these green cards will tell you that you're loyal. But one person will be a traitor. That person is trying to make everybody lose. Everyone else is trying to win together. Now, to win the game is very simple. As the game progresses, we will be adding swords to the round table here. Sometimes the swords will be white, sometimes they will be dark. When the round table is finished, there needs to be more white swords than dark, and everyone wins. If there's not, of course, everyone loses. Also, if there's 12 catapults here outside the city, there are 12 in the game. If the 12th one is placed, then everybody loses. If everyone dies, everybody loses. So, how do we make all that happen? Well, when I teach this game, it's very simple. I always tell people you do one bad thing, then you do one good thing. See, each player has their sheet in front of them, and they also have a die. This die is not ever rolled in the game. It's simply there to keep track of your health. You'll start with 4 life, and one of the bad things you can do is simply take a life point. Well, that's fine. You know, going from 4 to 3, 3 to 2. You gotta be careful, though. When you get to 1, you can't take a life point because then you're dead. But that's one of the bad things you can do. Another bad thing you can do is simply place a catapult on the board, which is fine as long as it's the first few. After a while, though, you're getting closer to that 12, which makes you lose. Or you can draw the top card of the deck and do whatever that card says. But don't fear, everyone is going to have a handful of white cards. These are good cards. Everyone starts with a Merlin cards. These are rockingly good cards. And a player, after they do their bad action, will get to do a good action. Now, a good action can be traveling to an area. There are many different areas to travel. Each of these areas, this one here, for example, only one person can go there. But if they go to do the quest of the Holy Grail, there's spots for many people in each of these spots. Over here, one. Over here, there's many spots. If you are at one of these good areas, another action you do is playing a card. By the way, I guess I should mention that if you stay here at the round table, you can draw cards, which is an action. Draw 2 cards by staying there. Or you can even go out and fight a catapult. Briefly, you basically are going to roll a die and try to get a card that is lower than the number of fight cards that you play. There are fight cards in the good deck that are basically just numbers. You can play as many of those as you want. Roll an 8-sided die, and if you roll less than the number that you played, then you destroy the catapult, otherwise you take a wound. Usually you won't do that because, you know, that's a desperation move. Usually you want to go off to the different quests. Now, each quest is different. If you want to go here, for example, and fight the Black Knight, what you'll do at that quest is you will place number cards there, but you have to place them in pairs. So here I can put 2 number cards. By the way, number cards go from 1 to 5. So if I could place a 2 here, and then on a future turn I could place another 2 there. And then I could place 2 3s here, 2 4s there, 2 5s, 2 1s, whatever. I can do the same thing over here, except here I need 3 of a kind and 2 of a kind. Over here I can place cards, but I need to place them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I do that, then I can beat the Picts, and over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or fight the Saxons, my choice. So that's not, you just have to get the right cards and pass them down the line. 3, 4, 5, hurrah! You can go over here and discard any cards you want face down. No one sees what card you get rid of. If you do that, you move the sword 1 closer to your side. And up here at the Holy Grail, you simply play a Grail card. And what you're trying to do up here is you're trying to play Grail cards all the way across. Once you get Grail cards all the way up to the other side, then you have completed the Holy Grail quest. Now each quest ends at a different time. For example, the sword quest, if you get the sword to the good side, you win. The Grail quest, if you get the Grails all the way across, you win. But these cards that you must draw after a while, you cannot keep putting out catapults and taking life points. You're going to have to draw cards. These cards will do negative things. For example, here's a 7 for the Black Knight. Now, when you draw one of these cards, you must play it either face down or face up. If you play it face down, you're the only person who knows what number it is, but you get to draw a white card from the deck. Or you can play it face up so that everybody can see what it is. When either these 4 white cards are filled up, or these 4 cards are filled up, the quest is over, whichever one happens first. You add the total of each of the numbers put together, and whichever one has a higher total is the winner of that quest. See, there's 4, 4, 9, 16, the 4. Oh man, the Black Knight won that one by a mile. Over here, this board is done the same way. But you'll notice that the bad guy cards have 2 sides. They have Lancelot and Dragon. The first time you do this, you're fighting for Lancelot. And if you win, you're going to get Lancelot's armor. But whether you win or lose, after that, the board will be flipped over and you'll be fighting dragons. And multiple people can now go and do that task. And over here, there will be different cards in the bad guy deck that will say Saxons, which will add a Saxon to the board on their side, or Picts, which will add a Pict to the board on their side. And you notice there's spots for 4 of them. There's even a mercenary, which lets you pick which side you want to add the person to. So there's different cards that will add those. When either you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you win. But if they get 4 people there first, then they win. There are also very wickedly evil cards called despair cards. And the despair cards are placed over here. And when a despair card gets to a Grail card, they destroy each other. Just like if there's enough despair cards here, I need to play a Grail card to get rid of a despair card before I can play another Grail card to take its place. So despair cards will slow down your quest for the Holy Grail. And then there's really wicked cards, the Morgana Le Fay cards. When they show up, they just do something bad to everyone. One knight immediately gets rid of 3 white cards, or each knight discards 1 white card. Or immediately add 2 siege engines to Camelot. Or each knight immediately loses 1 life point. Now you can cancel her cards if 3 people play a Merlin card. Now, you're like, oh, that's all so confusing. But it's not really. You just take 1 good action, 1 bad action, and you're trying to complete a quest. When you complete a quest, let's say, for example, we complete the Grail quest. If the good guys win, then you can see the reward there. We add 3 white swords to the table. We get 7 cards to be split among any players who happen to be at the quest at that point in time, and everyone gets a life point. If the bad guys win, or if the despair goes all the way across, then we add 3 black swords, and anyone who happens to be at that quest loses a life point. That's a big, big quest. A smaller quest, let's say the Excalibur, if you win that one, you can see the good guys get 2 white swords, 7 cards, everyone gets a life point. And if you lose that one, then we add 2 black swords, and everyone loses a life point. Some of them, sometimes the negative repercussions from losing to the Picts or Saxons will add 2 catapults in front of Camelot. So you can see that there's all different things going on. And these quests, some quests, when they are finished, like let's say this one's finished, we simply turn it over, and anytime we draw one of those cards from the deck, which is an Excalibur card, we add a catapult. By the way, these Excalibur cards will move Excalibur backwards the other way. But anytime we draw one from now, we add another catapult to the table. So catapults will be coming out faster and more furiously. Now, there is some special equipment. I already mentioned Lancelot armor, which will give that person a special ability. You can also get the Excalibur sword, which will give you a special ability. And then there's the Grail, which piece I have lost, and so now we're using this yellow dunce cap in its place. So all this is going on, and like I said, eventually the swords are going to be filled up. But what I haven't mentioned, or I mentioned at the beginning, haven't talked about, is the traitor. The traitor is trying to mess people up. So another action you can do when you're at the table is you can officially accuse someone else of being the traitor. If you are correct, and Sir Kay, the jerk that he is the traitor, he will turn his card over, and now he will not do the actions. He simply will do a negative action, and then he can steal a white card from someone else, put a siege engine out, and, or draw and play the top black card. So there's different things that he can do, and he is just straight out trying to win the game. He's trying to do it at this point, but everyone is kind of accused. You can accuse each other unofficially. I can, if you cough the wrong way, I can say that you're a traitor. But if you go here, you can make an official accusation. So eventually, either the players are going to win, or the traitor is going to win. It's possible in some games that there is no traitor, in which case I guess the game can win. All right, Shadows over Camelot. Now, I was just telling Sam that it's been a while since I've played this, and we need to get this back to the table. But there was a good 3 or 4 years where this was played monthly.
Constantly.
At the least.
Yes.
We would get the people together and it'd be like, what should we play? Shadows over Camelot.
Everybody wanted to play it.
And I'll tell you, there's a couple good things about Shadows over Camelot. One, it's so fun when you have a new player in your gaming group or someone new that you haven't played games with before. This is a fantastic one in that regard because it's so easy to break the ice. Because what happens is, this is what happens in every game that Sam and I have ever been involved with. We start the game, Sam goes, a person coughs, and immediately we say, you're the traitor.
Yes.
And what? You coughed like a traitor.
The sooner you accuse someone, the better.
And everyone is accusing everybody of being a traitor.
Yes.
And 80% of those accusations are just silly.
Yes.
But after a while, you're saying, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Doug is a traitor. Now,
he usually was.
Well, now let me digress on that. The traitor aspect here is really neat, to the point where when we play that there is a traitor.
Yes.
You don't have to play with a traitor, but we play that there is a traitor.
Must be.
That someone is a traitor. It is possible that a selfish person will have a difficult time with this game because somebody, and we had someone in our group, and I won't mention her name,
Doug,
who we thought was the traitor every single time because they were like, I'm not losing the life point.
Yeah.
I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
That might kill me. Like, oh, then you're the traitor. and they weren't. Until they were the traitor. After a while, we're like, well, they're not the traitor. That's just the way they act.
Right.
Oh, they are the traitor.
Yeah.
So, but it is a fascinating idea. Now, there are some people who have criticized this game because they say that the theme is not strong, that you're laying down pairs of cards and straights of cards, and you're just laying down sets of cards. But I would argue that the artwork, the pieces, the players' interactions themselves brings out such a fun environment.
Very much so. Usually what most of our gaming sessions have turned out to be is we play the game on the backdrop of a reenactment of Monty Python's The Holy Grail.
That's true.
It just lends itself to it. So if you want to play this and get the full effects, Sam and Tom style, you have to watch Monty Python, get all the lines down, and then crack this puppy open. Then you'll have a great time. Now,
there is an expansion for the game, Merlin's expansion or something, Merlin's Way or whatever. And that's a good expansion because it lets you add an extra player, but it does tend to complicate the game a little bit more.
Right.
But you can even have 2 traitors in the game at that point, which isn't really necessary. One of the things about Shadows over Camelot is how it's deceptively simple after a while. Because Sam and I played it and we were like, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
Once we figure out who the traitor is, we have the game. And we played the game for years and we were feeling, I'd say, almost cocky. And then, I think 3 or 4 games in a row, we just got nailed to the wall.
Nailed.
It was just horrible. To the point where we're like, oh, put the game away.
We actually had one of the games that we lost horribly. We accused the guy who shuffled the cards for being a kind of a backstage trader.
Shuffle ever.
And so he was never able to shuffle cards in any game after that. So it's a little bit of metagaming, but that's okay.
So for me, I give this one 2 Holy Grails up. It's a fantastic game. There's nothing that I really dislike about it.
Right.
You might argue when comparing it to games like Battlestar Galactica that Battlestar Galactica gives a better experience and is a better game, but I cannot get everyone to play Battlestar Galactica, and I can get my wife will play this easy.
Yeah.
I can bring this out for new gatherings, and it just works really well. So just because this game is, 6-7 years old now, doesn't mean it's not a great game, because it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the artwork, it has kind of a, Saturday morning cartoon type feel to it. It's not dark or anything like that. I mean, there's parts of the board where it's darker than other parts of the board, but it's not, darkest. It's just, it fits, So this will appeal to more people than I think Battlestar Galactica. I mean, people look at Battlestar Galactica, this is the first thing that I hear usually come out of their mouth. I don't watch the series, so I won't be good at that game. And while that's not even true, with this,
everybody knows who King Arthur is.
Yeah, King Arthur is just out there, and it's just a very inviting, more inviting thing, I guess you could say, than BSG. But I love BSG. Don't get me wrong. But this came.
So say we all.
Before. This came before BSG, and this was the cooperative game before BSG hit the market. So I guess you could say this is the father.
You need to give it thumbs.
Okay, you've already given your thumbs?
2 Holy Grails up.
2 Holy Grails up. See, that's just...
cheesy.
That's just...
awesome. And that was what he was going to say.
No, it's not.
Oh.
I never use the obvious one.
Alright.
I never...
How about 1 Holy Grail and a gauntlet?
I'm giving this 2 Black Knight, I'll bite your kneecaps. Up.
It's just a flesh wound.
There we go. So, if you don't have this one, and you don't go out and get it, and you can afford it, you're weird. You must have this on your shelf.
I don't know if I'm that strong, but I do say this is a must-buy.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.